I made my 12-year-old niece babysit her 3 younger siblings alone so I could go to dinner. My twin sister has 4 kids and treats me like her personal free babysitter. For 3 years, she's called me with last-minute emergencies, and I always show up. I've canceled dates, missed appointments, rearranged my entire schedule to watch her kids while she goes to brunch or gets her nails done, or handles some crisis that's never actually a crisis. She's never paid me once, never even said thank you. And the one time I asked her to watch my daughter for 2 hours, she said she was too stressed and couldn't handle another kid. Last month, my wife and I were talking about wanting to do something special for my 30th birthday, and my sister overheard. She immediately jumped in and begged to watch my daughter that night so we could go out. She actually started crying and said this was her chance to finally show up for me after all the times I'd helped her. She insisted she wouldn't take no for an answer and promised she would be there for us, and that she was delighted to spend her 30th birthday with her niece. So my wife and I got excited and bought tickets for dinner and a show at this fancy hotel downtown, $200 each. We made reservations, we planned the whole evening, and we were counting down the days because we never get to do anything like this. The day of our birthday finally came, and my wife and I got dressed up in our nicest clothes. We loaded my daughter into the car with her overnight bag and drove to my sister's house. I texted her on the way and she sent back a thumbs up emoji. We pulled up right on time and her car wasn't in the driveway, but I figured she'd parked in the garage. I walked up to the door holding my daughter's hand and knocked twice. Nothing. I knocked again. Finally, the door opened and my 12-year-old niece was standing there looking exhausted. Behind her, the house was complete chaos. Toys everywhere, food on the coffee table, younger kids running around screaming. My niece just stared at me and I immediately knew something was wrong. I asked where her mom was and she said her mom left an hour ago and told her to tell me I was babysitting all 4 kids tonight. I stared at her waiting for the punchline because this had to be a joke. She just kept staring back at me with this blank expression. My phone buzzed. Text from my sister. Emergency came up last minute. Knew you'd understand. You're seriously saving my life right now. I owe you one. I read that message 3 times. I looked at my wife who was standing behind me with her mouth open. She asked what we were going to do and I said we're leaving. She said we couldn't just leave the kids here alone and I agreed, but that didn't mean I had to stay. I told my niece to call her mother right now and tell her to come home. My niece looked panicked and said she didn't think she could handle the kids much longer, and I felt terrible because none of this was her fault. I told her I was sorry, but her mother made this choice. Then I walked back to the car and called the one babysitter I knew who might be available on a Saturday night with 0 notice. She answered and I offered her twice her normal rate if she could meet me at my house in 20 minutes. She said yes. I drove home, met the babysitter, handed her $200 cash, and thanked her for saving our night. My wife and I drove to the hotel, and my phone started ringing immediately. I sent it straight to voicemail. The hostess seated us at a window table overlooking the city, and my wife kept asking if we should check my phone. I said no, because I knew exactly what was happening. My sister came home, realized I wasn't there, and was losing her mind. The whole dinner I could feel my phone buzzing in my purse, but I refused to look. We ordered our food, and it was incredible. The theater show was even better. When we got to the car around midnight, I finally looked at my phone. 17 missed calls, 32 texts, 4 voicemails, all from my sister. The final text said, I cannot believe you right now. I just got home and the house is completely destroyed, and all 4 kids are still awake running around like absolute maniacs, and my oldest is crying because she couldn't handle them. And this is your fault, because you were supposed to be here helping me, and you abandoned my children, and now I have to deal with this nightmare, and you owe me an apology, and you better call me back right now. I read it out loud to my wife and we both laughed. She showed up at my house the next morning and stood on my porch screaming about how I humiliated her and traumatized her children and made her look like a terrible mother. I looked her in the eye and said I had 0 regret about what I did, that she made her choice when she abandoned her own kids and expected me to clean up her mess, and that I was done being her free babysitter. She tried to tell me that emergencies happen and family helps family, so I asked her what the emergency was. She went quiet and then said it was personal and none of my business. I told her to get off my porch. She hasn't spoken to me since.